Mm-hmm.
With this guy being such a proven liar
Mm-hmm.
all during the Russiagate. He was on the Sunday morning talk shows. I've got evidence of Trump and Putin, and it was all a lie. And
Yep,
the punishment for him lying is the voters of California elect him to the Senate. What a tragedy.
I know. So
Hmm.
you know what, Tom? I really, really highly suspect the whole election situation in California. Highly suspect that. I
I
don't
don't
think,
blame you.
yeah,
Don't blame you.
I have the personal experience, so I don't trust it at all.
No,
Yeah. All right, let's start our program today. Thank you so much, Tom. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Cheyenne's Forum. Today is September 16th. Here's my dear friend, Tom. Tom, how are you?
almost fine. How are you?
Almost fine. Thank you so much. I know you have some little experience of discomfort of your throat, and you still come to join our podcast. And thank you
Yeah, I'm
so much.
not that uncomfortable. I feel fine. Just that my throat is not good as far as it just sounds terrible. Sounds worse than it is.
And not really to me. So I'll make sure that you're not talk that much today. All right, but yeah, before we start, Tom worked in FBI for 30 years and he worked as assistant director of FBI for 5 years and he's retired now. And again, thank you so much, Tom.
Thank you.
Um, sure, Tom. The past week has been a very difficult one as we lost Charlie Kirk. Um, it's really hard to me. And to my audience. I actually made about 4 programs to remembering Charlie Kirk and what he bring to the world, to our country, and to our culture, to our next generation. We see there's so many people around the world just miss him, just crying, just so they show the passion that we never saw before. So why do you think Charlie's case has stirring such widespread grief and outrage around the world? Keep in mind that most of these people have never seen him before, and
Right.
some people may have only just heard about him. Why?
Well, I think that most people, they go about their business unless there's a reason to really pay attention to the politics that's going on.
Mhm.
And I think Charlie was, for 10 years building this organization, Turning Point USA, and just slowly picking up steam, and especially with young people. And I think that was the key, that we've had a great alienation of young people wanting to get involved in the political process, and he has helped to bring them into it.
Yeah, so he's a big figure. Do you need some water?
I have some. It's doing a great job.
Sure. Yeah, and given your extensive history experience and the understanding of the current political situation in our country, do you believe that this strategy event could have been avoided? Meaning, are you surprised what
Which
happened?
strat which strategy do you
Like
mean?
it killed Charlie.
Strategy to kill him?
Mhm.
I think that the use of political violence has just become increasingly acceptable in the last 10 years that he's been involved in doing this. And I think that's the tragedy of what's going on right now, is
Mhm.
that something like this wouldn't have happened many years ago, but gradually people on the left, especially if they're in Congress, if they're in public positions, advocating that it's okay. And there was a survey released today, just taken, where how many Democrats think political violence is not only acceptable, but practically necessary. And they encourage it. Now, these are Democrats who participated. I think this was a Rutgers University survey, and it's
Mhm.
overwhelmingly more Democrats supporting violence than Republicans.
Wow. Wow. They openly state that.
Yeah,
So
yeah, they
tell me,
do.
have you ever seen that situation happen in US history? Do
Yeah,
you?
back in the 70s.
Okay, yeah, tell us about it.
Well, back in the 70s, you had, the Weather Underground was a left-wing faction, mostly
Hmm.
young people, very violent, and they started to use violence excessively. And
Hmm.
for a while, the public kind of, they didn't realize how serious it was, but
Hmm.
later they did, and wanted policies to prosecute them and put them in prison and take them out from, the political arena.
Hmm.
And, it got so dangerous that this is a group that during their heyday in the 70s, they
Hmm.
actually planted bombs even in the US Capitol on university campuses, killed many people that way through that kind of terrorism. And even, for example, in New York City,
Hmm.
you had most of the police officers that patrolled on foot did
Hmm.
not have radios. Now, today, pretty much every police officer, even by the early 70s, when I became a
Hmm.
cop, we all
Right.
had, handheld radios plus the
Uh-huh.
car radios. But in New York at that time, they didn't have it. So a
Oh,
police officer wanting to call into his dispatch, they had call boxes on various corners.
oh,
They would
okay.
go to the call box. They were not locked. Even a citizen could open it up and say where they're at and send the police.
Um,
And what the Weather Underground did was they placed explosives in those boxes. So if a police officer opened the door, bam, exploded in their face.
oh,
Many policemen were seriously injured as a result of that. So as a result, New York City locked up those boxes. So even the police couldn't use them because they were so dangerous. So we've had periods in our history where violence like that was, if not acceptable, at least it was not completely eliminated. Excuse me. So I think that what happened in the early 70s, I became a police officer in 1973,
mhm,
just outside Chicago. And in those days, we were much like you see these protesters on the street, criticizing ICE and the police and everybody else. At that time, when we were on the street, they called us pigs, you're pigs, death to pigs, all of this. That was common. And so a lot of times when we went to arrest somebody, they would not cooperate, and it would be,
right.
wrestling match would ensue. Now, in
Mhm.
my case, I'm fairly big sized compared to
Strong,
some.
right.
So I didn't have as many as these confrontations. If I told somebody they were under arrest,
Hmm.
most of the time, yes, sir.
Hmm.
And and they submitted to being in custody.
Sure.
But I had police officer friends who were shorter. And if they went to tell somebody the authority of the badge and the uniform wasn't enough, if they didn't physically intimidate the person they were arresting, the fight might be on. And so we had a lot of that type of thing happen. But it was not uncommon to encounter somebody and, have them spit on you or call you names and stuff. Now, what happened in my case, I just developed quick, smart alecky answers when people would
Hmm.
say something stupid like, and at the time I became a cop, I was 21 years old, still going to college to
Yeah.
finish my
Uh-huh.
degree requirements to join the FBI later, which I did.
Uh-huh.
But as a 21-year-old, I can remember vividly even one traffic stop I make, and the driver's a young person,
Uh-huh.
could be my age. It's, officer, you can't arrest me. We went to the same school.
Oh, really?
Possible,
That's
could be.
funny.
So I
Uh-huh.
said, oh, yeah, what school was that?
Mhm.
I'll abbreviate A-hole school. And,
Oh.
and I said, well, you must have been an honor student. So it's situations like that. Or other times making a stop and a young man driving, trying to be a smart aleck and, it's going to
Mhm.
resist.
mhm,
And in some cases, they'd have a very attractive young lady,
mhm,
girlfriend, or somebody that they were driving.
mhm,
And then I would just kind of ask the person to step out a second. And I
mhm,
said, look, I know you're trying to show off for your girlfriend, but what do you think she's going to think of you when I just wipe the street with you up and down one way and the other? Why don't you get back in the car and be more civil this time?
mhm.
Okay, gets back in. We start over. And then it was okay. So
That's
the
smart.
basic message, if you think you're showing off for your girlfriend, she's not going to be impressed
Mhm.
when I defeat you
Right.
physically, if that's what
Exactly.
it takes. But that was the day in the 70s, 73, 74, 75,
Mhm,
when police officers took a lot of abuse on the street. When we didn't have ICE then, we didn't have some of these agencies
mhm,
assisting us. So it was like the FBI or like local police are the officers that most people encountered. Most
mhm,
people didn't deal with the FBI or DEA or
mhm,
other federal agencies.
mhm,
But I just developed a quick response verbally to do
mhm,
verbal jousting with some of these people because
mhm,
you could talk to them in a language they could understand.
mhm.
You
Exactly.
don't you don't want me to beat your head in front of your girlfriend. So
Mhm.
let's start over. And the person, yes, sir, I'm sorry, officer. And
Good
uh,
thing.
and then then the society became a lot more conservative in the late 70s into
Mhm,
the 80s.
mhm,
And then 1979, I become an FBI agent, and the FBI generally was very respected all
mhm,
through that time, my first years in the FBI.
mhm,
But now you have this philosophy has come back that
mhm,
law enforcement is evil,
mhm,
and it's okay to do whatever you do
mhm,
with police officers or federal agents or whoever.
mhm,
And I think that it's a really sad day to see this kind of situation where that antisocial, anti-government, anti-authority behavior has
mhm.
become not only acceptable,
Mhm.
but almost rewarded by a large segment of our population.
Right. So, do you see the difference between now and the 1970s that you experienced the violence from the lefties? And do you think our current situation is more serious than 1970s, or they are pretty similar? And also, how and when the 1970s violation situation got improved or just changed?
I think the difference is, at least from my perspective, in the 70s, I'm in uniform, I'm on the street, with my brother and sister officers, and the number of people that were anti-police or
Mhm.
anti-authority was a lower percentage. So most of the people wanted law and order.
Sure.
And as a result of that, conservatives began to be elected because of that. So you had, for instance, in 72, McGovern,
Mhm.
extremely liberal. He takes the worst defeat almost in history of presidential politics. Guys like Nixon advocating law and order, later Ronald Reagan.
Mhm.
That conservative philosophy was what most of the people supported. And so the more that happened, the more these guys like Weather Underground and some of them went to prison, then
Mhm.
there was a lot less of this anti-society violence
Sure.
being advocated or being carried out.
Sure.
Now, what's happening, as I mentioned earlier today,
Mhm.
you have a university study coming out saying that a large percentage of Democrats support violence right
Yeah.
now. That didn't happen in the 70s. A very small percentage. The large percentage, especially of voters, middle class, the so-called silent majority,
Mhm.
supported the laws that kept chaos from happening. And
Mhm.
so right now, you're seeing this surge, let's say, of violent rhetoric and violent behavior
Mhm.
and attempted. So you look at just this past 2 years, the attempts to assassinate Trump.
Yeah.
And in the survey that was done at Rutgers, the people that responded to that said, well, violence against Trump is okay, that's acceptable. Advocating the killing of the president of the United States is acceptable with a large percentage of Democrats. That's unbelievable. So I think that, the idea that, when Charlie Kirk gets killed last week,
Hmm.
how many people basically supported that,
Yeah.
celebrated?
Yeah.
And I think that to me is unbelievable. That and then mischaracterize him. He's a fascist. He's no good and all of that. He never advocated that. He advocated nonviolent debate.
Mm-hmm.
And his practice at his lectures on college campuses or anywhere, when they had the protesters show up, he gets positioned at the podium or in a chair, and he invites the people that are against him, come
Right.
closer and let's debate.
Right.
Let's have a peaceful
Yeah.
debate.
It's a
And the net
symbol, right?
result of that is a lot of people in the audience, whether it was in the stadium or watching on television, see how stupid the people are that were
Mm-hmm.
trying to debate with him.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of helped help them lose their arguments that they didn't have a logical argument to make in
Mm-hmm.
support of some of these positions.
Mm-hmm. So they kill him because he destroyed their narrative.
Yeah, they can't win at the polls. They
Mm-hmm.
can't win in a public debate.
Mm-hmm.
So silence him. That's the only way they can win. Just silence him or others like him.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Tom, for pointing out a big problem right now in this society that so many people are support the violent. That's terrible. That's
But
horrible.
when you use language, and they've been using it now for 10 years at least, that Republicans or specifically Trump or Trump supporters or MAGA are a threat to democracy,
Yeah.
existential threat to democracy. They're
Mm-hmm.
evil. They're no good.
Mm-hmm.
They're Hitler. When you compare them to Hitler or Stalin, now Hitler, I think was responsible for about 40 or 50 million deaths
Mm-hmm.
from his policies, plus the Holocaust, 6,000 there. And then Stalin is estimated to have killed about 50 million in the Soviet Union during his time. And then Mao, how many tens of millions was he responsible for killing? So the implication of that is, if somebody would have assassinated them early, Hitler becomes chancellor in 1933.
Mm-hmm.
World War II really starts 1939
Mm-hmm.
when he invades Poland, a little bit before that. But in any event, if Hitler had been taken out before he invades Poland and before he begins the killing of the Jews and then the Holocaust itself and then the invasion of his neighbors in Europe, it could have saved 50 million lives.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody had taken Stalin out early, could have saved 50 million Russian lives and others. And Mao, how many tens of millions is he responsible for killing? These are all individuals. When you call somebody that's in the public arena today,
Mm-hmm.
Mao or Stalin or Hitler, you're basically saying, somebody please rescue us and kill them.
Mm-hmm. You're inviting them to do so.
Yeah. And that if they're good citizens, they'll do it.
Mm-hmm. And they feel that they're heroes.
Exactly.
So proud of their action to kill someone who
Right.
they called Hitler or
Right.
fascist. Wow. So I think President Trump just did he sign a bill that consider Antifa and Black Lives Matter or Antifa and some other lefty uh, organization as a terrorist group?
I think so. But he should have, one thing I was critical of Trump in the first Trump administration was that after the George Floyd riots started,
Hmm.
Black Lives Matter and Antifa were
Right.
burning billions of dollars in property to the ground, killing dozens of police officers and other citizens.
Mhm.
And at that time, the answer wouldn't have, I don't think, been to send in the National Guard. The
Mhm.
answer then would be to have the FBI investigate them for who's funding them, who are
Mhm.
behind this. Is George Soros or his organizations supplying the signs, the
Mhm.
weapons, the baseball bats that they were using at these rallies?
Mhm.
Uh, those groups, and I looked at that and talking to a number of my colleagues that were also retired at that time from the FBI. And, we would talk to each other and say, in our day, these groups would be investigated from the inside out and
Mhm.
eliminated. The
Mhm.
individuals responsible for this, for funding them, for organizing them, for
Mhm.
rallying that activity would go to jail.
Mhm.
And we didn't see any of that. So there was on the continuum of what the government can do.
Mhm.
Yes, you could send in the National Guard and the U.S. Army and the Marines and everybody and their uncle.
Mhm.
But before you even get to that, you can have the FBI undercover investigating who are running these organizations, who's
Mhm.
responsible, who's funding this, and
Mhm.
eliminate them before they even can kill as
Right.
many people or destroy as much property as they did.
Right, right. So do you guess what's the reason behind that President Trump did not do that?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly. At the time, I couldn't think of a good reason why he shouldn't.
Who was
And
the director of FBI at that time? Christopher Wray or
Ray and then Comey, and they were
Com-
both, neither of them was any good as a director. Neither one.
is that possible that even if President Trump ordered them to do so, they will not?
Oh, yeah, that if he ordered the FBI, the Department of Justice, to get involved,
Hmm.
then and the Attorney General issued the order, they should get involved.
At least.
He's the President of the United States. He's responsible for every agency
Hmm.
in the executive branch
Hmm.
and the U.S. military.
Hmm.
So to say that he can't get involved and direct the FBI or DOJ or
Hmm.
other agencies to participate, I disagree with that. He's the commander in chief. He's the
Hmm.
chief law enforcement officer.
Hmm.
Uh, he's running the executive branch of the government.
Hmm. Well, let me ask you a question, Tom. I think it's a very interesting question, huh? Um, think about that you are the director of FBI. If you really hate this president and you want to do nothing when the president order you to do so, do you have a way to just protect you do something, but actually you did not do anything that he ordered you to do? Do you?
No, I don't think you could hide that fact.
Okay.
And, the honorable thing to do
Hmm.
is if you can't take the lawful orders of the head of the executive branch,
Hmm.
then it's time to resign. Publicly, you could state it publicly, I'm resigning because I disagree with these policies. The
Hmm.
president is wrong in not addressing this kind of crime or insurrection or instability
Hmm.
at this time. And I think that, then you leave. And, we didn't see any of that.
So what up to now, we know that Christopher Wray or Comey did something really bad in back of Trump. They have way to do something bad, even though he should resign. He will not resign. He just want to destroy his presidency, and he did,
Yeah,
right? Because
try to for sure.
you are honest one, so you will do whatever you are ordered to do because he's the commander. But these people are not like you.
Well, if
So,
you receive lawful orders,
mm,
then yes, you should carry them out.
okay.
And the laws of the government passed by Congress, the policies of DOJ over the years, all of
Hmm.
that stuff, it
Hmm.
should be your responsibility to do it.
Hmm.
And, we didn't see that. Or directly the opposite. You see the
Mm-hmm.
FBI
Mm-hmm.
undertaking investigations
Mm-hmm.
against Trump,
Yeah.
uh, and then senior officials lying through their teeth, like Adam Schiff,
Mm-hmm.
senator from the great state of California.
Mm-hmm.
He was, how many weeks did we see him Sunday morning on the talk shows? I have evidence
Yeah.
of Trump and Putin conspiring. I have evidence. I'll share it later. He never had anything. So the government appoints Robert Mueller
Mm-hmm.
at a cost of about $40 million to investigate the Russiagate case. And Mueller's chief investigator was a DOJ attorney, Andrew Weissman, who hated Trump, was extremely anti-Trump, and they couldn't find any evidence to go after Trump on. And so
Mm-hmm.
when Mueller finished, he just said, "No, we have no evidence that Trump and Russia colluded to throw the election."
Mm-hmm.
And Schiff just continued. Schiff basically gets caught in
Mm-hmm.
lie after lie after lie.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens? He gets elected senator from California. How's that possible?
Sadly, we actually saw the whole generation of like Adam Schiff is becoming anti-America,
Very
who is
much.
such a huge power to destroy the whole nation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, Tom, what the investigation into Charlie's case is still going on right now. With FBI director state yesterday that there are 11,000 leads are now currently being investigated. So it's a big case. What are your thoughts on the investigative process so far and the direction the findings have taken us for? Where the direction will go to?
Well, the investigation, I would that number that he threw out there is long gone. I think it's probably 10 times that amount now. Now
Okay.
I can remember back in the day when we had the Oklahoma City bombing,
Mhm.
and I was in the FBI at the time.
Mhm.
In that case, the FBI estimated it was the largest investigation to date, and they were talking that there was probably 500,000 leads worldwide in that case. And it
Whoa.
was complicated because the lead suspects, um, like McVeigh and the others, had been in the Army.
Mm,
So
right.
now they've got the FBI has to go to these military bases, track down all the people that they were assigned with in
Mhm.
different parts of the world
Mhm.
and send investigators to interview them. What
That's
did he say when you knew him? Did he advocate, anarchy or any of these things? So the idea that an investigation would have thousands and
mhm.
maybe up to 1 million leads,
Mhm.
that's not unusual when you're
Mhm.
talking about a serious case.
Mhm. So far, do you think the investigation went well?
Hey, so far, generally well, but there's still so much. Did he act completely alone? Now
Mhm.
he's talking to his gay lover, and that's another issue that people are going to want to suppress, that we have so many violent acts committed by people somewhere associated with the transgender movement
Mhm.
or homosexuals or
Right.
something.
Mhm.
And we have all these shootings. And the people involved in it, everybody wants to deny that transgender has anything to do with it. Now, in this case, his partner is transitioning to be a woman, born a
Mhm.
man, his
Mhm.
gay lover.
Right.
And, that at that point, he has the gay lover, transgender, has not been violent. He's been cooperative. And you wonder why, because he's basically giving up his boyfriend with all of the information and evidence he provided to the authorities. So that's an interesting phenomenon. But who else could be involved? We don't know. There could
Mhm.
be others. There could be others on some of these websites that may have been involved or may have been knowledgeable and
Mhm.
could have done something to prevent it.
Right.
So that part we don't know yet.
Right. Right. And also, I heard people saying that he is just a regular citizen and he has no military training so far, right? We don't know that. Can a regular citizen just do that? Assassination, one shot, or
Well,
he
it
has.
depends. It depends how much,
Mhm,
the training doesn't, military isn't the only place training. So he could join a gun club, various gun shops.
mhm,
You have in Utah, you have hunting clubs, all of that. He's got
mhm,
his grandfather's rifle, so he could show up and just buy the ammo that
mhm,
would 30-06 ammunition,
mhm,
which, that's what big game hunters use. So
mhm,
you can hunt an elephant with
mhm.
30-06. So, in that case, he could be completely self-taught and all of that. So that, and then interestingly, we don't know when he shoots Charlie, not to be too grotesque about it, but we don't know where he was aiming. Was he trying to shoot him in the forehead and
Oh,
the
okay.
bullet landed 8 inches lower and hit him in the neck? Was he
Mhm.
aiming for the heart? We don't know what he was trying to, was he aiming for the specific spot at the side of the neck that would sever the carotid artery and almost instantly kill him?
Mhm,
Which to me, we don't have the coroner's report yet, the medical examiner report,
mhm.
but it sounded to me at the time like the shot was fatal instantly, that he
Right.
died immediately,
Mhm.
and that even if a emergency room surgeon was standing next to him, couldn't have saved his life. With that severe of damage to the carotid artery, what do you do? Can't put a tourniquet around his neck,
Right.
uh, because then you kill them by lack of blood to the brain. So I think that we'll learn more about him and how he learned to shoot that rifle, or whether he just self-taught,
Mhm,
bought the ammo, went to the range and taught himself. And then with the use of a scope,
mhm.
um, 200 yards is not that far. It's a pretty
Yeah.
easy shot.
Mm. In the whole situation, the killer, suspected killer, just so calm. I read a report that he actually came to the spot at 8:30 a.m. So he stayed there, the same spot, for 4 hours, just waiting for the moment to kill Charlie. So it seems to me, I don't know, it looks like a very military training guy who can do that. But we still don't know the details, and it's still in the investigation. And also about the crime scene, I have a question for you. So the tent, when Charlie was killed, he was sit in a tent, right? So the tent is a crime scene, but we saw that some people clean up the whole thing very fast. Is that abnormal? Or you
Well, it's
should.
possible if they had the the crime scene technicians, if they went in right away and obtained all the evidence that they thought they could obtain from that site, the site where he was actually shot,
Mhm,
uh, could be. They would try to expedite that as quickly as possible with trained evidence technicians to gather what they could in there. Now, obviously, the main thing was Charlie himself, who they try to get to the hospital as soon as possible.
mhm,
And, we'll find out later in the
mhm.
medical examiner report if he was dead before they even took him out of the chair.
Right.
But, we don't know that there would be that much more physical evidence there other than Charlie himself
Mhm,
and his blood and whatever the bullet,
mhm,
the fragment of the bullet that hit him. Did it embed in the tent behind it? We don't know.
mhm,
But that's probably the least difficult crime scene to do for evidence compared to the rooftop, compared
mhm.
to obviously his house later, or
Mhm.
going into the woods and recovering the rifle
Right.
and the towel that
Mhm,
held the rifle,
mhm.
some of that. So
So how long do you guess it will take FBI to give the final report of the assassination?
I think weeks,
We
maybe
oh,
months,
okay.
because
Okay.
they have to track down all these leads.
Uh-huh.
They have to have investigators interview different people that are in these chat groups or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
then when they interview somebody who says, well, don't talk to me, talk to so and so,
Mm-hmm.
so they could get one lead could lead to 50 other leads.
Right, right,
That's why I say when they said how many leads there were, that sounded very low.
right, right. Yeah, and also, are they sure that he is the guy, Robinson is the guy who killed Charlie, or they suspect he's the guy who?
Well, I think that as they announced and as Patel announced, his DNA is on the trigger.
Oh, that's
So his prints are palm prints are on the gun. And then other evidence at the scene on the rooftop. The bullets that he engraved, his DNA is on the bullets. So
oh,
so there's enough physical evidence just with the forensic evidence of the DNA
sure.
that places him with the gun, with the bullets on the rooftop.
Uh-huh.
And so I think that that part's pretty clear.
Oh, okay, okay. And then the first beginning, FBI announced that they have the first suspect catched, and then it's wrong person. And then second time, Cash Patel tell people that we got this guy, and then find out it's wrong. And then the third time, we got the killer, suspect killer. So is that normal happen that FBI director got a wrong person? Like
Well,
cash.
it should not be normal. And I think that in this case, there was such urgency to
Right.
get this guy. Here's a killer on the loose.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as I don't know what Cash Patel knew
Mm-hmm.
at that time, who gave him information and how he puts out a message that we got him when they
Right.
did. And
Right.
then later they have to correct that, and then
Mm-hmm.
later correct that. So I don't know the details of that. I'd like to see more about that. And of course, that'll be
Mm-hmm.
definitely scrutinized if he was putting out false information like that.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's a little surprise to me though. Yeah, I think it's a surprise to lots of people about that. And talk about this. Oh, before we talk about the hearing today, I just would like to ask you whether this meeting was pre-arranged. If not, I mean, with the investigation into the Charlie's case being the first priority, maybe right now for FBI, why could such a hearing suddenly be scheduled at this time?
I don't know. I don't know why the Senate had to hurry up and have this hearing
Uh-huh.
and why Patel had to submit to it. He
Right.
could have said, no, we're still
Mm-hmm.
in the earliest stage of this investigation
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
we'll let stand the district attorney's statement today.
Mm-hmm.
Here are the charges. He gave a pretty good summary of what supported those charges. And
Mm-hmm.
for now, let that go at that. Because especially, we don't have federal charges yet, and there's no real hurry.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So you could have these state charges, which my guess in the long run, that's what they'll go with the state, because the state has such clear-cut ability to impose the death penalty. Now, if
Mm-hmm.
this was another state, if this was New York or California,
That's
I
a
think
different story.
I think more people would be saying we want the federal government to take the lead. But as of now, I think from my opinion, the best bet will be the state of Utah. Now, when I was in the FBI and we had cases, oftentimes cases are dual jurisdiction. Bank
Mm-hmm.
robbery, for example. Bank robbery is always a federal crime, FBI crime, but it's also a state crime.
Mm-hmm.
Murder is usually state only,
Mm-hmm.
but in certain situations, it could be a federal crime. So
Mm-hmm.
you have discussions then, I'll put it that way, that go on almost from the beginning
Mm-hmm.
between the prosecutors and the Department of Justice of who should take it. Excuse me.
Sure. Take your time. Sorry about that, Tom. Yeah, all right. Should I ask you a last question? I
Go
think
ahead.
you should take some rest.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. Senator Chark Grassley just announced that FBI whistleblower revealed to him that FBI project called Arctic Forest that targeted groups like Charlie Cook's Turning Point USA. There are 92 in total, 92 Republic targets, including Republic groups and Republican link individuals were placed under investigation scope of this project. So on the political list was one of the Charlie Kirk's group, Turning Point USA. In another word, this project wasn't just a case to political investigate Trump. It was a vehicle by which partisan FBI agent and the Department of Justice prosecutors could achieve their partisan ends and improperly investigate the entire Republican political groups. So how could that happen?
I don't
This
know.
outrage.
I've never heard of any of that, so I don't know.
Oh, okay,
I
yeah,
don't
he
know. I don't know
doesn't.
what he has to support that.
Mhm. Yeah, so we will see the. Oh, yeah, he said he submit the documents and everything to the public, and everybody can see right now.
Okay.
It is horrifying, right? So, and also we have an audience. He said, Patel are just having the hearing by oversight committee. Some people ask him to resign for the Cash Patel. They don't like Cash Patel. They want him to resign and said he's incompetent. But I saw Cash Patel reply to them, and he just lists what FBI have done since he become FBI director. And it seems like they are doing so many things, so many.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think Cash Patel can stay in this position?
Well, I think so. I expect he will.
Uh-huh.
And I think that, the FBI, there's so much wrong with the FBI
Hmm.
going back to Christopher Wray and Comey and back in the days. And, myself and a number of my colleagues and I who have retired from the Bureau in the last 20 years
Hmm.
have really, really been hoping for positive changes
Right.
from the director, the attorney general, and the president to bring back the FBI so that it regains the trust of the public and the integrity. But, you know, that's hard to, when you have trust and you lose it, hard to get it back. And I think that, we're going to see in the months ahead if the FBI gets it back.
Sure. Sure. All right, let's hope so. And so far we have to admit that they actually did a lot, has been done a lot
Yeah.
since President Trump back to White House. So just like you said, it will be a very difficult processing to gain back the trust. And they're doing that right now. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Tom, for attending this podcast today. I'm sorry for your like coughing in and yeah, I wish you
No,
get better.
I'll be all right.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'll
Okay.
translate that into Chinese as soon as possible.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really
See you next week.
appreciate you.
Just
Yeah.
one last point.
Uh-huh. Go ahead.
Look how quickly, we did this podcast a week ago, and it was the day before Charlie Kirk was killed.
Yeah.
I don't even remember. What did we talk about 7 days ago?
We talk about the let's see. Let's see. I can check out very fast.
But
Okay.
it's okay. But
Yeah, it's okay. We are talking about whoa. Oh, the killing Hamas leaders and
okay.
yeah, justice. the justice did not pass the bar. Drug war. We talk about Venezuela and then Maduro a lot.
So look how quickly everything can change historically.
Right.
So we go from relatively moderately important things last week
Yeah.
to an event the next day that none of us will ever forget for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
So 1 week.
Yeah. That's a
So,
history.
so let's see what happens
Next.
historically in the week ahead.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, for stay with us for just um give us your wisdom. That's so important. We do need it. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.